As you can tell, that we're continuing on in Isaiah 46 and 47. There's a couple of points I wish to make before we get started and such too. Now remember, we're in the prophecy section basically of Isaiah. And Isaiah, or God is prophesying through Isaiah now. And we're talking about Babylon. Okay? And the reason why we're talking about Babylon, or why it's so interesting in that, is Babylon's not a major power at this time yet, because remember, they're worried about the Assyrians coming and taking the capital. Mm-hmm. So this is still all in the future. Okay? We're talking now, well, it did never happen in Isaiah's lifetime. Let's put it this way, it happened after his lifetime. So this is still all stuff coming. And I want you to look at it so closely, because it tells exactly what's going to be happening basically to the Israelites, or the Judeans, because it's actually Judah that is going to attack. What's happening to Judah, but also what is prophesied is what's going to happen to Babylon. Okay? And you got to remember that Judah was in captivity for 70 years. Well, at least what he's seeing was going to happen with Babylon. If you want to say it was a contemporary, it was actually basically within 100 years of when this was being done. And it's going to be amazing as we get into how accurate everything is. So when somebody says, well, the biblical prophecies are not accurate or anything like this, or this was all written after this, that doesn't support. It supports that, yes, God knew what was going on. God knew how to basically use man-made things to get past that. I want you just to keep that in mind and such, so as we go. All right, with that being said, Isaiah 46, verse 1. Bel bows down, Nebo stoops. Their idols were on the beasts and on the cattle. Your carriage were heavily loaded, the burden to the weary beast. I'm going to ask, what's Bel and what's Nebo?
And I can't say that, Nebuchadnezzar. One is a god of wisdom and something, and the other one's the sky.
Well, you guys are all very close, but not quite. Yeah. Bel was actually Marduk, which was the head god of how should I say, Babylon. And that's also where you get Belshazzar, because it's paying honor to Marduk. Okay. Nebo was actually his son, which was how should I say, the god of wisdom and such. But if you notice, well, you got Nebuchadnezzar because it's paying honor to them.
I see.
You know, it's like, well, if you hear with the Israelites, you know, there's certain names and such that give honor to God. That's what they're doing there. You know, and it's basically saying, you know, the beast, their idols had to be carried around and all of this such, and that's what they were. You know, it was heavy loaded. Verse 2, they stooped, they bowed down together, they could not deliver the burden, but have themselves gone into captivity. What's going on here?
When an area is taken over, they have a tendency to remove the gods, the idols, from that place. So I'm assuming when Babylon started to fall, the people were taking these idols to move them, to hide them, basically.
Close. I forgot the last word, captivity. When a conquering nation took over, they plundered the land. Okay, that's what it's saying here. When the Medo-Persians took over, they're going to plunder the land, and they're going to take the idols, and the idols can't do a damn thing, put it mildly. So right here, we already have the downfall prophesized in regards to Babylon. That hasn't even come to major power yet. Okay. In verse 3, listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnants of Israel, who have been upheld by me from birth, who have been carried from the womb. Even to your old age I am he, and even to gray hairs I will carry you. I have made, and I will bear you. Even I will carry, and I will deliver you. What's going on here now?
Is it Isaiah just saying that God knew you from the beginning, and those that survived the remnant of this downfall of Babylon, that God will take care of them.
Okay? They're pretty much right on.
They're carrying they're God's, but God like carries us. We have
There.
Yeah.
You caught a very significant point. He has chosen, i.e. Israel, or the Jacobs, the house of Israel. He has chosen them, and he basically says, you've been upheld by me by birth, and I have carried you through. And even though the Babylonians will be going into captivity and they'll basically cease to exist, I will continue to carry you. Even I carry and will deliver you. Because you are my chosen people, in spite of who you are, you're still mine. And I will uphold you. Okay. Verse 5, to whom will you liken me and make me equal and compare me, that we should be alike? They lavish gold out of the bag and weigh silver on the scales. They hire a goldsmith and he makes a god. They prostrate themselves, yes, they worship. They bear it on the shoulders, they carry it and set it in place, and it stands. From its place it shall not move, but one cries out to it, yet it cannot answer nor save him of his trouble. What's he saying here?
The idol they pray to will not pray.
Okay. But he's also got a contrast to him. Okay, the best way to put it is, how is one of the ways that we describe our God? He's a living, functioning God. Where's God?
big presence everywhere.
Yeah, he's all over.
Yep.
He's not in just one place. He's not stationary. He's all over. For lack of better terms, he's where you needed him to be. Whereas with idols, all you can do is carry him to where you so-called want him to be. But yet that still lies the wrong place. Even though it says, they lavish gold and silver and made them real nice and fancy, it still just is
Not.
dead as this wall.
So
Right.
we're cheering for the idol, but God cares for us.
You got it.
Isn't it strange though? Why would somebody take a thing and think that it can, I don't know, it's an inanimate object to them.
Maybe they figured it's a conduit to the God that doesn't
It's
exist.
just a strange, yeah. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But it's
Well-
gold and stuff too. I mean, for a lot of people, that's important.
Valuable.
Yep. Even nowadays.
But it seems silly to us to see those idols, and yet we have idols in our lives
Yeah.
that we worship and we don't even realize.
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
People and
Yeah, sports
actresses.
things, cars, houses,
Right.
whatever you wanna, we all have our idols.
There are two big idols that we have for us right now is science and government. The government's going to save us or science is going to save us. Well, think about it. Those are our idols.
That's what they think.
There's very much ones. But yeah, but yet, once again, you're making the contrast. I am a living, these guys are dead. These are inanimate, And like I say, still talking to Israel here. You know, because we're saying, it says, remember this, and show yourselves men, recall to mind, O you transgressors. Remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. Declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times, things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. Before I go on, what is he saying here?
I think he's just asking them to remember what had all happened before.
Proving who he is through prophecy as well. Declares things that have not yet happened, but they will happen. It's proof that he exists.
But what does he call Israel? Oh, you transgressors. You know, I don't want to say he's calling things out, but he's just saying, okay, you guys have sinned, you've fallen away. But now remember the things of old. Remember what I've done in the past. And how it was done, because I am God. But then he goes on to say, declaring the end from the beginning. So in other words, he knows everything. And in ancient times that you are not yet done, my counsel still stands, and I will do all my pleasure. He's saying I'm in control. Even though you guys think you are, I'm in control. Which then leads into the next part. Calling a bird of prey from the east, a man who executes my counsel from the far country. Indeed, I have spoken and I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it, I will also do it. Listen to me, you stubborn-hearted, who are far from righteous. What's he saying here?
Is he talking about Cyrus?
He's talking about Cyrus.
The bird of prey. Because God's calling Cyrus to do a will of God.
Even though he's not a follower.
Exactly.
And
He uses, yeah.
how does a bird of prey strike? Swiftly.
Yes.
So in other words, it's going to come swiftly. And, you know, he mentions this also from east. And Persia is east of Babylon. You got to remember that. You know. But the last part there is very important. Why? Because I have spoken it. I will bring it to pass. And I have purposed it. I will also do it. And then, once again, a little bit of a chide I want to say to the Judeans. Listen to me, you stubborn-hearted, who are far from righteous. You know, how should I say, he's not holding back any punches. He's calling them exactly the way they are. But if we go back to the earlier part, it says, you still are mine, in spite of who you are. Verse 13, I bring my righteousness near. It shall not be far off. My salvation shall not linger. And I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. What did he kind of say here?
Righteousness isn't here.
It's kind of a double-edged prophecy.
Even though they stand far up, salvation is not far away.
Yeah, either way, I want to bring you back out of Babylon. As we go back to previous chapters, it basically says that Cyrus will set them free. But also, my salvation shall not linger. Who's our Savior?
Jesus Christ.
And where does he come from? Or where is headquarters, for lack of a better term? Zion, Jerusalem. I will give you salvation, i.e. from Babylon, and I'm also going to give you the other one. And also it says, you know, Israel is supposed to be a light unto the world, and that's where he goes, for Israel is my glory. And if you look at the history of Israel, it's a very unique nation, or even a divided people. It's amazing, because, well, basically the Bible is pretty much their history, or part of their history. And you can follow all the support that they are finding archaeologically wise that supports what this is being said. We have no other people that have the history that's told as well as that. That being said, let us continue with Isaiah 47. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, O daughters of the Chaldeans. For you shall no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstone and dry meal. Remove your veil, take off your skirt, uncover the thigh. Pass through the rivers. Your nakedness shall be uncovered. Yes, your shame will be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not arbitrate with a man. What is going on here?
Is he talking to just Babylon in general?
Right now, at this point,
Because of
yes.
Babylon.
It's like a humiliated woman just taking it down.
Okay.
Come down from where you are and be as you should.
Okay. Well, you know, when you think about it, if you're a great and powerful nation, everybody looks up to you and all this such, you know, and basically honor. Well, what does it say in here? I'm going to take that all away from Babylon. You're going to be sitting on the ground. You ain't going to have a chair, no throne. And, okay, the millstones. Usually the people who run the millstones and such were the slaves are the lowest of the low. And grind meal. And also, you're going to remove your veil. In other words, you're not going to be protected from the sun. You're not going to be wearing a long skirt. You're going to have to wear the short one and such because you're going to be busy working. You will not be waited upon. So in other words, you're going to become from elevated all the way to lowness. You know, and the whole world is going to see it. The whole world, it will be totally such. You know, and basically saying, I will take vengeance and I will not arbitrate. In other words, I will not deviate from it at all. Okay? Now we have a little shift again. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit in silence and go into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no longer be called the Lady of Kingdoms. All right, take verse 4. What does that mean?
We're no longer gonna have the high status of royalty or whatever that they feel that they have right now.
I'm not going to go with that one.
Okay, cool. Theo probably said it better anyway.
Well, what do you think it means? I realize you said you thought what it means. Who's the Redeemer?
Jesus.
Okay, who is he talking to here, though? Right here in just this verse.
He's talking to Israel.
He's talking to Israel. So right in the middle of the condemnation of Babylon, he's saying, Israel, you're not part of it. Okay? You know, it says, you know, as for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. So he's saying, you guys aren't going to be part of this. Because in the next, it says, sit in silence and go into darkness, O Chaldeans, shall no longer be called the Lady of Kingdoms. So now he shifts back to Babylon and says, yeah, you guys are going down. You know, verse 6, I was angry with my people. I have profaned my inheritance and given them into your hand. You showed them no mercy. On the elderly, you laid your yoke very heavily. Okay, what's he saying here? Because now we're kind of back with Israel. basically saying to Israel, I had to teach you a lesson. I had to slap your hand because you guys weren't behaving, but I delivered you into Babylon. Okay? But then he's going on to say, in Babylon, you treated them mercilessly. You showed them no mercy. So therefore, I'm going to punish you. Okay? In verse 7 it says, and you said, and this is Babylon, I shall be a lady forever. In other words, I'm so all powerful and such, I'm always going to be ruling. So that you do not take these things to heart, nor remember the latter end of them. Therefore, hear this. Now you are given to pleasures, who will dwell securely, who says in your heart, I am, and there is no one besides me. I will not sit as a widow, nor shall I know the loss of children. What's he going here? He's kind of doing tongue in cheek here a little bit.
Everything shall be taken away but man, really.
And people are comfortable in their status and power, so
Yeah, they think nothing's gonna happen to them.
nothing bad.
Yeah, we're all powerful. We're all pleasure. We're going to do everything, you know. And they basically say, who says in their heart, I am, and there else is nobody besides me. In other words, a very self-centered society. And I'm not going to sit as a widow. I believe, you know, where my whole life is falling apart. Nor shall I know the loss of children. In other words, things are all going to be good. Okay? And now here comes the very next part that is very interesting. But those two things shall come to you in a moment, in one day. The loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon you in the fullness because of the multitude of your sorceries, for the great abundance of your enchantments. What's he saying here?
You can think what you wanna think, but no, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen swift and fast.
Okay. Go back a couple of weeks when I was talking about the fall of Babylon. How did it fall? Or even go into Daniel. How did it fall? It fell in what night, remember? How? Because they entered through the gates of the Euphrates that were open in one night. What does it say there? In one day? Okay. And we have it also recorded in Daniel that they were partying and such, and the Persians come in, and that night, that was it. So does that not fit into, in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood? Your empire fell, and your kids are gone. Why? It tells you there.
Multitude of sorceries, great abundance of enchantments.
Yeah. Because they didn't believe in God, they believed in other things. I'll get into that in just a couple more verses. Because in verse 10 it says, for you have trusted in your wickedness. You have said, no one sees me. Your wisdom, your knowledge have warped you, and you put in your heart, I am, and there's no one else besides me. What's this kind of referring to?
The arrogance of people.
Okay. What's one thing that we still have in our society that we can trace back to the Babylonians? The horoscope. The Babylonians come up with the zodiac. The Babylonians studied the stars to foretell your future through the stars.
Astrology.
Astrology, yes. Very much so. So, yeah, that's how we get all the different 12 zodiacs. That's how they, oh, you were born on such and such a day and have this sign. This is the way you're going to be. Yeah, you were born in Taurus. In other words, the bull was born in Aries by Lamb, or the part of, anyway, it goes on and on. And it comes from this. And the other thing that they also did was they would read the entrails of animals that had been offered for sacrifice. In other words, they look at the heart, they look at the liver, and they look at how the guts were laid and all this, and they would foretell the future and such.
It's like reading tea leaves.
Just like reading tea.
Just a little more mercy.
You know, reading the palm of your hand, yeah, you work hard. Of course, it's all callous.
Yeah.
But this is what they were into big time.
Yeah. Mine has a sign that says Babylon is famous as a founding place and breeding ground for occult arts and practices. So it all started there.
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily they all started there, but they perfected it. And it's carried on down through the ages. You know, and they put the Egyptians to shame in regards to that. So, first hand, okay, I did that, but I'll go with you again anyway. For you have trusted you in your wickedness, you have said, no one sees me, your wisdom and your knowledge have worked to, and you have said in your heart, I am, and there is no one else besides. In other words, they thought their sciences, and I don't really call them sciences because that's what they thought they were at that time, were so advanced. It was more important that they could outdo God. Not much different than today. Verse 11, therefore evil shall come upon you. You shall not know from where it arises, and trouble shall fall upon you. You will not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon you suddenly, which you should not know. This refers back to the day that they fell and all this such. If you actually go into Daniel and start reading Daniel and such, you'll find out that they had gone to the enchanters and the sorcerers and said, well, yes, you guys will still continue to be great and wonderful. So that's what they continued on. Even though God had written on the wall that says, you know how things are not going to be good. And you can also tell once you go back to the Daniels that they consulted him quite a bit because remember when they had their dreams and all this such were the first ones to come forward. The sorcerers and the magicians and such. You know, and like I said, it shall come upon you suddenly. That once again is referring to what is going on. Verse 12, stand out with your enchantments and the multitude of your sorceries, in which you have labored from your youth. Perhaps you will be able to profit. Perhaps you will prevail. They kind of, I don't want to say kind of putting the knife in the twist a little bit. Look over there. You are wearied in the multitude of your counsels, but now the astrologers, the stargazers, and the monthly procrastinators stand up and save you from what shall come upon you. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them, they shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. It shall not be a coal to be warmed by, nor a fire to sit before. What's he saying here?
Is he just saying, good luck, go ahead and stand with those idols that you made. Because they're not going, that wood that you made them out of, they're not gonna warm you, you're not gonna use it as a piece of coal or to cook bread by. So, good luck with that.
In other words, they're good, they're worthless. They're going to be consumed by the same fire or the same destruction that comes upon them. They're worthless, Last shall they be with you with whom you have labored. Your merchants from your youth, they shall wander each to his own quarter. No one shall save you. In other words, there's no redemption, no power, whatever from them. That's it. It's very straightforward. All right? So what do you get out of these two chapters today, basically?
That a false idol isn't gonna save you, and this last sentence, like, you don't look to God, you're lost.
Okay,
I like the comparison of how God creates us and takes care of us. And then when we're believing false idols, we're the ones that are creating these false idols, and looking to it as God, but God is really the one that's.
okay.
takes care of us.
But you kind of put it another way that basically says God never leaves us when we leave God.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when we look at it and all this such, you know, God never left Israel.
All the way through, he's kind of been challenging the idols to do something, save the people. But he's also saying, you can't, I mean, he's like, it's a challenge, because they can't come through.
Right, he's always pointing out the obvious and such like this. But then also we can look at hindsight and see how accurate this prophecy is. Because, let's put it this way, once you know how Babylon fell, it is not a stretch to understand that in one day at all. You totally understand that. And also when we talk about the astrologers and the procrastinators, that's prognosticators. I'm the procrastinator. That's a prognostic. That's the guy who reads the sheep guts. How would you like that for a job?
No.
I'm sorry.
Next.
I'll pass.
Yeah.
Pass.
So, with that being said, we see where God's grace is still there. We see that he still continues to call himself the I am, and I am the only I am. He calls out all the falseness that comes stand before. We also saw where he says, I am living, I am with you. And we also see that he's our Redeemer, the one who bought us back, that he owns us. And once he owns us, he's not going to let us go.